So let's get to work. Today's a big day. I want to recap May and how that went, and then we'll jump right into a full listing presentation. And I want to get it recorded. Okay, so depending on how long we go, certainly I want to get you feedback on the presentation. But the first step to that is getting it on camera and getting a full role play done. Because are you working with your role play partner on the presentation at this point?
So we just started doing that once a week, like on the weekends, and then 5 days a week, like on Mondays through Fridays, like we're just doing like the regular scripts.
Okay, so you're doing phone scripts Monday through Friday, and then on the weekend you're doing a full listing presentation or parts of it?
We're gonna try and do like the full thing. Like we just started it last weekend, So yeah.
Cool. All right, so let's recap the month of May. Do you have your numbers in front of you?
I wrote down where I'm at, but I don't have like the spreadsheet in front of me. No.
All right, so let's just recap the main numbers real quick. Go ahead.
Okay, so I've been making 50 contacts for about a month now. My contact to appointment set dropped. I think it's about 61 contacts. Appointment kept is up to 50%. I've gone on 8 listing appointments this month. However, I haven't signed any of them. But what I thought was pretty interesting was in the Facebook group. You and Keith had put out some videos on what qualifies as a listing appointment.
Yeah.
So I found out that I haven't been qualifying my listing appointments enough. So when I go on there, they understand that it's a listing appointment. We're going to talk down and sit about listing. I mean, we're going to sit down and talk about listing, but I don't think they understand that I'm there to list their property at that time.
Yeah. That's going to be, you took the words right out of my mouth. Well, give me the rest of the numbers and let's have a quick discussion about that too. So you went on 8. Did you went on 8 or you set 8?
I went on 8. I set 16. 16 this month. Yeah, but most of that was in the past week. So,
I mean, again, I think that your phone skills are it's clear that a couple things are apparent. What were your takeaways before I give you my big takeaways from the data?
So I'm improving a whole lot on the phones. I think setting appointments is not it's not a huge issue for me anymore. My appointment kept is going up. That's only going to improve over time. That's all the numbers that I had for now. I'm having 2 objections that I'm getting at appointments, which is with for sale by owners. We either want to wait and try for sale by owner, even though we agree with everything you're saying, or we want a higher price.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. All right. So, and then the other takeaways, I would agree, but the other big win for me and for you is the fact that we're finding so much opportunity through the action you're taking. So you're doing 50 contacts a day, and you did that. You were pretty consistent through the month of May on that number. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. I missed a couple days and I was sick, but that's it. Yeah.
I mean, so that yielded you 16 listing opportunities in 30 days, which was phenomenal. Put you on 8 listing appointments. So we've got to keep the effort where it's at, right? We've got to keep that 50 number is your number right now. We've got to keep that steady for the month of June. Okay. And you're getting the at-bats that we need. The 8 really quick. So the big objection or the big things that you're thinking about is the 8 that you went on. How many of those would you say are a quality listing appointment versus a quality preview appointment?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll tell you how I'm qualifying them. I'm asking all of the qualifying questions except, when I come out to to the property to talk with you, is there anything preventing you from listing a property with me?
Okay.
I started asking that in maybe the past 3 appointments.
Okay.
So everything else was, I would say it was a listing appointment.
Okay, good. So let's add in that it's probably the most important qualifying question. And so you can ask it a bunch of different ways. You just need one way that works for you that you can deliver with confidence. And so, what I say is so if I'm on the phone, I set my listing appointment, I go through my 10 qualifying questions, and my real thing that I ask, because I want to pre-sell and I want to use a trial close as much as possible, is Joshua. So when we meet, our meeting should only be about 30 minutes. I'm going to walk you through my pricing strategy. I'll break down all the numbers so you can get an idea of what you'd walk away with. And then at the end of our meeting, both you and I can decide if working together to get the property listed on the market makes sense or not. Does that seem fair? Does all that seem reasonable to you at this point?
Okay.
And I'm really impatient with that gaining agreement at the end because I want to pull from them, obviously objections, obviously concerns, but I'm really looking for them to say, yeah, I mean, if things go well, we'd be absolutely open to working with you, right? So that's the question you're talking about adding into the qualifying when you're setting these appointments, correct?
Well, actually, I've been asking that question that you just said. But on top of that, now I've started asking, after it's going to take about 30 minutes, we'll go through this and that. Then I say, is there anything holding you back from, listing with me at this point? That's
Perfect.
when, I'll get people to say, well, I want to try FSBO for a little bit longer or something like that.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, good. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. Do you have anything coming over? I'm sure you do, but do you have any hot listing opportunities coming over from May that we can still get a contract in the beginning of June right now that you're working through?
I think so. Off the top of my head, maybe 3 leads like that. And then I've got a listing appointment today and 2 tomorrow.
All right. And I guess I'm referring to the 8 that you met with in May. Are they all gone? Like for whatever reason, they're no longer an opportunity for you?
No, I'd say probably 50 to 70% of them are still pretty viable opportunities.
Beautiful. So you had a good meeting with them. For whatever reason, they weren't ready to sign a contract with you, but they're still in your follow-up system. You feel like you're in relationship with them, and you still have an opportunity to convert them into a listing.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, good. So that's, again, we're getting into our 3rd month, right? Doing this. And so this is when those should start converting into contracts, right? It's that 90-day mark. So it will be interesting to see as you set new appointments, which is great. We got to keep in mind that, the majority of our business is going to come through follow-up. So if you had 4 or 5 of those 8, we've got to make sure that those are at the top of your lead follow-up mindset strategy, that they're not being forgot about, that you're touching them probably every other day, depending on how you left that meeting with them. But those should be the listings in June, and then any other new opportunities, obviously, that we find from this day moving forward on June 1st.
Okay.
You know what I mean? You can kind of see as this work starts to compound on each other where the listings are going to come from, right? Like you probably right now know the names of the people that come to mind of those 4 or 5 opportunities that are your hottest leads from May, correct?
Yeah. Right.
Give me a couple of their first names, not their last names, because I want to make a note of that. So when we talk, I want to make sure that we're not forgetting about them.
Sure. So we got Colleen, we got Cynthia, we have, what's her name? We got Pat, we've got Gary.
I mean, those are 4 off. Yeah. Is there another one?
I think there is, but I just can't remember the name at this point.
All right. So those 4, Colleen, Cynthia, Pat, and Gary, where's the lead sitting right now? Like, where's it at? Is it in a CRM? Is it on a piece of paper? Tell me.
So it's in Vulcan. It's in my tomorrow folder. So it's not necessarily I call them tomorrow, but it's like I don't want to wait until next week, so. Okay,
good. Here's the thing that I want you to do. I either want you to get a small whiteboard that you put up in you're at your home office, or you're at the office today?
I'm at my home office. I actually have a whiteboard back
Beautiful.
There, so.
They should be plastered up there, those 4 names. Okay. And on top of that should say where my next listing is coming from. And those are the names that go under it. Because right now you got 4 that you were able to rattle off out of all the work you did in the last 30 days. These are the 4 people that you had the best opportunity to list their property, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. So you've got to stare at them, and they've got to stare at you daily.
Okay.
And right now, I hope that they're all on a whole bunch of stuff, right? They're getting the weekly MLS. You're texting them, you're calling them. You're doing everything you possibly can to earn their business before you've got their commitment. I'm hoping that we're really putting the full court press on right now.
So it's calls. Then on top of that, like we have the MLS email, and then I'm sending like some video texts. So
all right, good.
Yeah.
What I would like for you to do this week with those folks is I want you to send them a specific text that outlines something specific from the MLS email. Because right now it's probably a pretty passive approach. You're doing those things, but how often do we reference with specificity something on the email?
Okay. Yeah.
No, I'm asking you up until this point, how often do you rely on the information on the email after setting them up on one?
Probably like once a week, like I'll mention it, if I send the email on Wednesday, then the next time I follow up with them, I'll say, hey, did you see that email?
But something specific in the email, I'm saying.
Yeah, then never, I guess.
Zero, right? So This is the thing when I talk about follow-up with folks, this is the depth of the follow-up that we need. So it's not enough just to throw them on the MLS email. Did you get my email? It's, hey, Joshua, did you see that house on Elm, the 10,000 reduction they just made? Did you see the house on Elm just go under contract, new listing, sold, pending, whatever the case may be? That's really the follow-up that's needed. That's the specificity that shows them the type of agent you are, the expert that you are, the type of agent that they would want to hire, right?
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Because did you see the email? There's not a whole lot of substance to that question. Yeah, I saw it. Okay, now, you know what I mean? Or no, I didn't see it. And so this week, to those four people, Colleen, Cynthia, Pat, and Gary all need to get a specific text message from you that outlines something specific from the email that goes out on Wednesday.
Okay.
So put that in the calendar, maybe Wednesday afternoon or Thursday morning as a part of your lead follow-up for the day to make sure they get some type of communication outlining something specific from the email. Cool?
Yeah, cool.
All right. So set me up for the listing presentation today. Just tell me what I need to know so I can be a good role play partner for you.
Sure. So this is a lead that I'd set an appointment with, I believe in April. Never actually went on the appointment, but I did all the homework for it. It's a 2-story home. It's not anything crazy, but it's relatively nice. It's just finishes that aren't super nice, but it's not bad either.
Am I for sale by owner? Expired? What am I?
You are a for sale by owner.
Okay, got it. And all right, good. So yeah, you feel free to share your screen with me if there are things you want me to reference on a specific CMA or the net sheet. And so let's go through the entire thing. What I want to do, I'm not gonna pause you today.
Okay.
I'm not going to give you really any kind of feedback yet. I want you to be able to get through the entire presentation. So if you mess up or whatever the case may be, just keep going. Let's get through the entire presentation. And then we can talk about it afterwards.
Okay, cool. So I'm just going to pretend like we already did the home tour and everything.
Yes.
Brandon, thanks so much for taking the time to meet with me and show me around your home. Now, before we really get deep into all the information that we're going to cover today, I'd like to make sure that we're both on the same page. Can you walk me through why you'd ever want to sell the home?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I've been here for quite some time, and downsizing at this point in our lives probably makes the most sense with the market being so high. And so, with the master on the second floor, it's important for us to take advantage of the market, right? And sell at a high price. And obviously our goal is to get on one level, some type of ranch, specifically, like some type of condominium where it's just a ranch style condo is the goal. So that's kind of why we're doing all of this.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Now, do you have a time frame in mind that you'd like to make this happen, that you'd like to be in that new ranch home?
Well, so my wife is planning to retire at the end of summer. So like August, early September, she's going to be done with work. And so it's at that point in time that we'd like to be in our new home. So and have this one sold.
Yeah, totally makes sense. Okay. Now, is it an option to stay in this home and not sell? Say worst case scenario, something goes wrong. Is it an option to stay here or potentially rent out the property? Or have you decided that you absolutely need to sell at this point?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we've made the decision that we're going to move, that we're going to sell the house. I guess luckily we're in a good situation where we don't owe that much money. So
Sure.
financially we're okay, but from where we're at in life, we've decided that now's the time to go ahead and make this move.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
And
So with
we definitely don't want to rent. And we're not renting this thing.
no, I understand. The rental market's hot, but it's just being a landlord just isn't fun. So,
Not for us. It's not for us.
yeah, totally understand. Now, with all the moving pieces of selling this home, inspections, showings, appraisals, all of that, do you have any concerns?
Um, we I haven't been through this process in quite some time. So, I guess obviously we want to make sure that the price that we get for this property, because this is a large part of our kind of our economic future, if you will. So we need to make sure that we sell it at a high price. And I guess not knowing exactly what that looks like causes a little anxiety. But I mean, outside of that, I think based on what I hear, I mean, hopefully you're going to tell me, but the market is really hot. So I don't really have any concerns with the house selling with everything we've done to it.
Yeah, totally. So we are going to go over what's going on in the market, but after we go through all that, we'll be able to determine what the right price is for your home and how quickly we can get it sold. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, perfect.
Okay, great. So if I'm hearing you right, you just need to downsize. Your wife's retiring. It's your first time selling in a home in a little while, so you just want to make sure that you net the most amount of money, that you net the most amount of money possible. Is that right?
That's exactly right.
Okay, gotcha. So Brandon, there's really only a couple of things that we're going to go over today. The first of which will be taking a look at what's happening in the market. Then we'll be determining a pricing strategy to help you get your home sold. We'll ensure that you net the most amount of money possible. And then after that, we'll determine whether or not it makes sense for you and I to work together. Sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds good.
All right, perfect. So the first thing we're going to take a look at here is just what's going on in the local market.
Okay.
Now, this is a market report of Lancaster County at this time last year compared to where we are right now. Now, as you can see, last year at this time, the average sales price in Lancaster County was about $222,000. This year, it's $255,000. We're up almost 15%. Real estate's never done that. Historically, it's never done that. So what we're seeing right now is a huge market correction upwards, which is a great opportunity for you as a seller. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. That's great to see.
Yeah. Now, the second part of this is going to be the inventory of homes and also the days on market. As you can see here, this time last year, we had 381 homes come on the market in April. This year, we've got less than 200. We're down 50%.
Wow.
50%. So the real kicker is that we're selling even more homes. Last year in April, we sold 282 homes. This year, we've sold 321. So not only do we have less homes on the market, but we're selling homes even faster. And as you can see here with the days on market, that's cut down by about 70%. 70%. So with all of those numbers, it just goes to show that now is a terrific time to sell your property. And all of those numbers tie into what's called the monthly supply of inventory. So you can see last year around this time, it was just over 1 month. In a healthy market, this is usually 4 to 6 months. And this year, it's about half a month. What this means is if the new faucet of homes was completely shut off, in about half a month, there'd be no homes for anybody to buy. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. So really everything boils down to what's called days on market. This is going to be the biggest factor in determining what your house will sell for. Can I explain?
Absolutely. Sure.
All right. So let's pretend you were a buyer, right? And you were looking at your home right now. You're very interested in it. You want to put in an offer. However, it's only been on the market 1 day and it has multiple offers already. What kind of offer do you think you'd have to put in order for your offer to have a good chance at actually getting accepted?
Yeah, I mean, I think based on everything we're hearing, we're probably going to need to go in really strong, a very, very strong competitive offer, I would imagine, to really have a shot at it.
I would absolutely have to agree with you. Yeah, of course. Now, let's say that same home was on the market 15, 20, 30, 45 days. At that point, we definitely have more room for negotiation. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah. That makes sense.
Right. Okay. So that just goes to show that there's a direct correlation between the amount of time that your home spends on the market and how much it actually sells for. Make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. So in order for us to, get your home on the market and sell quickly and get you that best offer within a reasonable amount of time, we need to have a pricing strategy that makes your home the obvious choice when buyers are looking in your area. Make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, so let's take a quick look at what's going on here in your area. We're going to take a look at some comparables, and this will help us determine the right price for your property.
Okay.
Now, we're going to take a look at two different kinds. We're going to take a look at actives, and we're going to take a look at solds.
Okay.
Active properties are properties that are currently on the market. These serve as our competition. And when buyers are looking in your area, we need to be priced against these to be the obvious choice. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, so as you can see here, this first property, 7230, it's got an extra bedroom. It's got 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, 2 garage spaces. So besides bedrooms, it's pretty similar to yours. It is right under, it's right over 2,000 square feet. You're sitting at about 2,100 square feet. Oh, this property shouldn't be in there. Anyway, and as you can see here in this property, it's been on the market 4 days and they listed at 295.
Okay.
So compared to your property, how would you say that this one stacks up?
I haven't seen the inside. We've done a lot of work to it, but
Sure.
I mean, I guess from what I see, it looks pretty similar.
Okay. Yeah, I think I definitely have to agree with you. Now taking a look at the second property, they've listed at 315, and they have 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, very similar to yours, 2-car garage. They are a slightly bigger property at 2,700 square feet. You're at 2,100. That extra 600 square feet is going to add some value to it. But again, we're just going through what's on the market and seeing exactly what you're up against.
Sure.
You can see these other 2 properties, 390, and this one's at right around 500,000. These ones don't really compare to your property just because this one's bigger, 3,000 square feet. This one's also right around 3,000 square feet. This one's also a new construction build. Your house was built in 2006. But this just goes to show, what you're up against and how we have to position your property so that buyers choose your property over your competition. Does that
Sure.
make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Now, Brandon, the next thing we're going to look at here is sold properties. These are very, very important because these properties are what appraisers are going to use in order to appraise your property. These properties have gone through inspections, they've gone through appraisals, they've gone through offers and showings, and they've come out the other side. So these are the numbers that we're going to use to accurately price your property. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So this first property here, 8251, you can see it's 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, 2-car garage. It's at 1,890 square feet. So just under 200 square feet, of your property. And normally I would have pictures here, but this is just going to be too many tabs. Anyway, as you can see, it compares to your property in a way that I think is pretty similar. Wouldn't you agree?
The only thing I guess the biggest thing I see now is, our house is a ranch.
Sure.
These are all 2-story homes, and I'm not the expert, but just based on my experience with the base of a ranch being so much bigger than that of a colonial, them being able to essentially have more value is kind of been my experience. How do you, because that's my only concern with all these that have sold, I can see, but they're all 2-story homes.
Yeah. Kind of like jumping out of role play. Your property was a 2-story.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. So your property is 2-story, but you said that you want to downsize into a ranch.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So damn. All right. On that first page of the actives, they looked like ranches. Go back to the actives real quick.
Yeah. So these actives are all ranches, but I was just showing what's in the area.
Okay.
Not necessarily 2 stories. I don't know if that's how I'm supposed to do it, but I just
no. So that'll be a big thing that we change moving forward.
Okay. So you don't just show everything that's active. You just show.
Yeah, because that's gonna really screw you up. So those 2 first comps that you went through with me are ranches, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So, and then the sold are 2 stories. And so
Yeah.
is the subject a 2-story or a ranch?
The subject is a 2-story home.
All right. So just so you know, ranches always pull more because of
Okay.
what I just said.
Yeah.
I'm kind of role playing it and giving you coaching at the same time. So don't try not to use like an appraiser is rarely going to do that, right? They're going to use a 2-story if it's a 2-story. If you go to a ranch, it totally throws everything off. They sell better. They're more rare. The base of a ranch is way bigger than a colonial, because it's the whole width of the home. So a 2,000 square foot ranch is a 2,000 square foot base. A 2,000 square foot colonial is like 1,400 square feet. Much cheaper to build. They're worth less money, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So just take that will crush you on an appointment,
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
All right.
Okay, cool. So we're going to go through these sold. So we've gone through the first one.
Yeah.
Now the second property here, it's been on the market 11 days. And if you remember at the market report we looked at, average days on market was 7 days. As you can see, they listed at 274 and ended up selling for less than their asking price at 267. Again, this just goes to show that days on market is going to be the most important thing in getting your home sold for the highest price possible. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
All right, great. Now, again, it's a similar situation here. They were on the market 19 days, so almost 3 times the average days on market. They ended up selling for almost $8,000 less than what they were asking. Again, a very similar property to yours in size, bedrooms, bathrooms, and garage spaces. Now, this last comparable here at 7210, they were on the market 11 days as well. Now, they ended up selling for just over their asking price at about $1,500 over. That might just been something that they worked out in the negotiations, but as you can see, at 11 days on market, they didn't sell for incredibly over asking compared to this property here that was on the market just 0 days and it sold for 5,000 over. Does that kind of make sense?
Yeah. That's incredible. It's great.
Wow. Yeah. So when your property does hit the market, there's really only one of 3 things that are going to happen. Now, the first thing, what we really want to happen is we get lots of showings, we get lots of offers, and we sell quickly. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
The second thing that could happen is we hit the market, we're getting no offers, but we're getting plenty of showings. That means that we just slightly missed on price. The third thing that could happen, and I really don't foresee this happening in this market, but we enter the market and we're getting nothing. No traffic, no showings, no offers, nothing. This means that we completely missed on price and that you and I would have to sit down and talk about a price all over again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. So, after taking a look at all of this data with the active properties and the sold properties, I believe that the market is suggesting your property could hit at a price of 265 to 280. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that. I mean, we're hoping obviously to get closer to 300,000 is kind of what we see out there. And so, I mean, do you think we can press it to 300,000?
So at 300,000, we could absolutely list at that price. We would just have to agree that if we get to the point of average days on market, which remember is only 7 days, that at that point, you and I would have a discussion. We'd sit down again and determine that we need to have a price reduction. Does that make sense? Does that sound fair?
Yeah, that sounds fair.
Okay, great. Yeah, just because if we do go over the average days on market, the chances of us selling at the price that you'd like drastically decrease. Make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, terrific. Yeah, so we will move forward at $300,000. Now, let's just take a look here at my value proposition. I'm not sure if you got a chance to take a look at this in the email that I'd sent you.
Yeah, we looked it over. Actually, yeah, it looks really good.
Awesome, thanks so much. So what I've got here is my no risk listing program. And to just briefly explain this, I believe that when you hire an agent, I'm working for you as an employee and you're working and you're my employer. So I have to hold your best interests at heart and be 100% upfront with you. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, for sure. There's no doubt.
Yeah. So the first part of this is my easy exit agreement. I don't handcuff anybody to any long-term contracts. I believe that I have to earn your business every single day. And if the time ever comes where you feel that that's not happening, we can just shake hands and go our separate ways. Sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Now, I also work with a lot of for sale by owners. So something that I like to offer them is called my Smart Seller program. This allows you to continue selling the home on your own. And if you do find your own buyer, say a family member or a friend or a coworker walks in and they want to buy this property, you did the work to find that buyer. So I don't charge a full commission, and I lower my commission down to 1% and represent both you and the buyer. Makes sense?
Yeah, we saw that. That's really neat. That's really neat.
Yeah. So that's the first part of my flexible commission program, which we just went over, is the Smart Seller program. Now, the second part is 4%. And this is if I find the buyer through my own marketing efforts. An example of this would be, let's say we're holding an open house on your property and a buyer walks in, they want to put in an offer, but they don't want any representation on their end. So I would help them, just fill in the blanks on the offer and get that over to you. And then I would represent both sides at 4%. Sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. And then in a normal transaction, we charge 6% if another agent brings the buyer. Does all of this sound fair to you, Brandon?
I mean, yeah, I really like how you have that laid out for sure. We haven't seen that before. I guess the biggest thing is, we've talked to some other agents who are willing to do it for less, less than 6%. So, would you be willing for that? I guess, how likely is it that one of these occur? I mean, listen, we're not going to probably end up finding our own buyer, right? But how likely is it that you find the buyer versus another agent bringing a buyer?
That's a good question. It sounds like you really just want to net the most amount of money possible out of this home, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah, exactly. So, like you said, this first scenario, it's not very, very likely. However, in this market, we are seeing that buyers can often come to us, through our own marketing efforts. I've got buyers that I work with. We've got buyers in the office, things like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Right. So, another thing you mentioned that other agents are coming to you with lower commission rates. Um, could I explain why that might be a red flag?
Yeah, please.
All right. So let's say you've got an agent that comes to you and they'll say, we will list your property 4.5%. The way this normally breaks down at 6 is that each side gets 3%. Out of that 3%, their broker gets paid 1%. The agent pays himself 1%. Then 1% goes towards marketing your property. Now at 4.5%, for example, do you believe that broker is still going to take their 1%?
I would imagine. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like the boss has to get paid, right?
Yeah.
Now, the other 1% that's going to go to the agent, do you believe that they're going to take a drastic price reduction in their pay?
Probably not. No.
Probably not. So that other percentage, which is where they're discounting their commission, that's going to take away from your marketing efforts. So that lowers your chance of getting the most buyers looking at your property, lowers your chance of getting the best offer for your home. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah. So that's why we list at 6%. And when we do list at 6% and at that price of 300,000, this is how much you would net. We just add 25,000 to this because I worked this up at 275.
Yep.
So is this a number that you would feel comfortable at? Add 25,000.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think we'd be okay with that.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so we will move forward at $300,000, and that is how much you will net approximately. Now let's take a quick look here at my marketing plan. I already emailed this over to you. We'll just briefly go over that and then what's going to happen after we get this property on the market. Sound fair?
That sounds great.
Awesome. So now I'm not sure if you got a chance to take a look at this entire marketing plan, but this is designed to give you maximum exposure. So we're going to go through, getting a for sale sign in the yard. Of course, we're going to have a professional photo shoot. We're going to do online ads. We're going to put this in the MLS, which syndicates to thousands of websites. We're going to send out emails to the top producers in the area, let them know that we've got a new listing, and let them know to get their buyers over here because they may have somebody that's interested. Now, I encourage you to take a deeper look at this marketing plan. But basically, this is designed to just give you maximum exposure and give you the highest chance of getting the best offer for your home. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, perfect. So now, like I mentioned, we're obviously going to have professional photography with this home because we found that having professional photography usually sells a home faster and for more money. Does that make sense?
For sure. Absolutely.
Okay, great. And then the listing process is all laid out here, but we're going to walk you through this entire thing throughout the entire transaction and make sure that you're taken care of before and after the transaction. Does that sound fair?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, great. So we're going to start with a lockbox. We'll have a sign. We'll have the photo shoot. We'll go live in the MLS. We'll start marketing it. We'll have showings. We will present the offers to you and help you figure out the best choice for yourself. And then we'll go through inspections, appraisals, and everything up until closing before we finally hand you the check at closing. Make sense?
It's great. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we've gone through all of that. After all these numbers and after going through the marketing, determining a pricing strategy, do you feel confident that I can get your home sold?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Great. And do you feel confident in my pricing strategy, my no risk listing program, and my marketing plan to get your property sold?
Yeah. I think that's all pretty fair.
All right. Sounds good. Now, do you have any questions for me before we get started on the paperwork? And then that's it.
Good job. All right. Good. All right. Cool.
That's usually how it goes. And then that's when they'd get objections at me. So
yeah. Yeah. So, all right, you can stop your screen share. Let's talk through it. Actually, I got a couple more minutes. I want to, so overall, how do you think that went? I'm curious.
it usually goes better in person.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Too much. So that's something I want to get them more engaged. So that's how I think that went. I think it was all right.
In person, you get them to talk more, you're saying?
I want to get them to talk more, but I think it goes smoother in person when I've got physical papers in front of me and we're handing them out. And stuff like that. Yeah.
It's always going to go smoother in person, right? That's why practice is so important. Practice is something that is uncomfortable and it's designed to be that way, you know? And so it'll always go better in person, but we want to increase the intensity of the practice so that the in-person does get even better. There's a couple of things, actually, I think we can get through a lot of the feedback right now.
Okay, let's do it.
Because there's a couple key things. Overall, I know you've been practicing this because you have the framework of the listing presentation. I believe you got it down.
Okay, cool.
You nailed the framework. I think that each section of the listing presentation, the overall arching feedback as to why you don't walk away with listings, I believe, is the same feedback I give you over the phone, which is a word that I use, which is conviction, and there isn't any. And so this, I think, is coming from a lot of different places. This potentially is coming from, I don't want to put any words in your mouth because I don't want to say things that you don't actually believe.
Sure.
But why do you think you potentially come across with a lack of conviction or a lack of belief? Do you know what that word conviction means? Like, how would you explain that to me?
That I know that my plan works and that I'm the best agent, and I walk in there very confident, like, hey, I'm the best agent for your, for you to get your property sold. That's right.
That's right. So when you deliver information, when I say the framework is beautiful. When you go back and watch this, like the play, the way that was designed is being ran. It's being ran, right? But the confidence and the delivery of the play is something that is just not there.
Okay.
And on the other side, hearing the information, my biggest thing was I sensed that you were not confident in you, not in the process, not in what you were saying, but in you. I didn't really, it was like I didn't have that belief that you were the strongest agent, you know? And so I feel the same way with you on the phone. Now you're setting a lot of appointments, which is great, but this presentation is the thing that needs the most work. And
Sure.
So I've got some things that are specific. Okay.
All right, let's do it.
All right. So I'm going to go from the beginning and we'll go through all of this. I think in the beginning, you set it up very nicely going through part 1 and part 2 of the listing presentation. You do good job at paraphrasing, which means you're good at listening.
Okay.
But when you set the agenda, the big star that I wrote down here, this is the time to show confidence. Okay. And to show that we're detached from the outcome and to show that we're here and we mean business. All right. And so I'm going to go as far as to include something with your presentation that I haven't taught you yet, which is bringing with you a list of the canceled, withdrawn, and expired listings in that neighborhood. And when you set the agenda, we're going to utilize that information. I'm going to show you how to do it right now. So after we go through part one, and then we go to part two, which is setting the agenda, and we say, listen, Joshua, today, really, there's only going to be three things. This meeting is going to be very, very simple. Okay. I'm going to walk you through what I'm going to do to get your property sold. I'll break down all the numbers at the end of the meeting. You and I are going to have our first real conversation and talk about, does it make sense for us to both decide that moving forward together makes sense or not? And either way is no big deal. But it's my goal that at the end of this meeting, that I've presented myself in a manner that allows you to feel comfortable and confident that I'm the right agent for the job. Does all that make sense? Now, we did the same thing, but how did that feel when I used those words?
You seem very confident in yourself, and you seem like you've done this a lot, and that whether or not you walk away with this listing, it's not going to hurt you.
Yeah, I'm hopefully when I deliver the information, I'm trying to position it from a place of influence, that I'm going to take control of this meeting, that I'm the real expert, that they have a real benefit from the relationship. Listen closely, more than I have.
Okay.
You see, that's the key. You have to position the presentation in a way where the seller feels that they got more benefit, that they get more benefit working with you than you do. And what do most agents do when they try to go into a listing appointment?
They try and sweet talk the seller and show them, things that sound better than they are in hopes of getting the listing.
Yeah, they're selling, trying to convince them to get the listing. So who benefits more in a conversation that's positioned that way?
The agent, of course.
The agent, because it's all about them trying to convince the seller that their commission is worth it, right? We're trying to position the meeting otherwise, that the money in this transaction is something that you don't even care about. You know what I mean? It's like, it's so outside of the realm of the conversation. This is the fee that you charge, period. And when you can have the seller believe that you're the real expert, you won't get that commission objection quite often. All right, so that's part one. Okay, that's the first piece of feedback, is delivering the agenda in a way that before you even get into anything, the seller's like, okay, we got a real pro here. They're not going to say it. They're not going to play their cards. You won't know it unless you give yourself goosebumps when you deliver it. You see, like, we've got to right now in the presentation be because your personality is built in a way that's more passive, we're going to have to kind of speak outside of ourselves a little bit so that the person can feel as though you are confident, because you could be confident with your natural personality. It's just based on your personality, no one would ever know it. And so that's the key thing as you grow your career. It's not that all the time you're not confident. It's how do you show somebody you're confident, right? That's the key thing. And so this is where the elevated speech, slowing down when I gain agreement, look you right in the eyes and command conviction from that agreement, right? Pulling that. Now you're running the play. You're using the words. You use the script. You use the process. All of that's dialed in. It's the how that we're losing some confidence. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right. Now, huge piece. I start all three of these. I think your CMA presentation needs a lot of work.
Okay.
All right. So with the numbers at the beginning, I think there needs to be more of a story and more of a WIFM as to what's in it for the seller, and explaining the importance with the numbers and how that potentially helps or hurts them either way, because the market's ever changing, and being better at telling the story. Now you run the play and you gain agreement just like you were taught, but there needs to be more. So I'll give you an example. So as you're delivering the information at the beginning of the CMA presentation, you're talking about the market stats. This is a perfect opportunity for you to engage the seller as an educator and not doing as much telling. Okay. So when you pull up your stats, you're circling this information in front of them. Okay. And you're comparing the two year over year. And instead of telling them the information, Joshua, use the Socratic method to ask the seller to present the information back to you as they see it. This is what great presenters do. Whether they're on stage calling somebody in the audience or in a one-on-one meeting like this is how you keep the sellers on their toes and they start to get nervous because they don't know when you're going to call on them next. It's like you teaching the class. You know that feeling I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, when the teacher's really good at engaging, you're like, shoot, man, I got to pay attention because this dude's going to call on me and I'm going to look like an asshole if I don't freaking have the right answer. That's how you want to keep the seller the whole time. So pull up the stats for a second, share your screen, and I'm going to give you a great example.
All right.
Okay, so if I'm presenting the information, okay, and let's just use the days on market. The first thing that you need to say better is the one thing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that will drive the entire process of selling a home is time. And as it relates to the stats, we use days on market to tell us to set an expectation around what you should experience when you get your house on the market. Now, you could see all of that framing that takes place there. That's an example of storytelling. Now, when I get to the numbers and I say, Joshua, I want to point your attention to something. When we look at how long it took homes like yours to hit the market, go through showings, accept an offer, last year in 22, what does it say how long that took?
22 days.
22 days. Now, fast forward to right now, okay? This is what things look like today. And what does that number represent right there?
7 days.
Now tell me, from your experience, what is that actually telling you as a seller?
Homes are selling way quicker. Yeah.
And for what are some of the reasons what's driving this number down in your opinion?
I mean, we don't have a whole lot of homes on the market, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I mean, look at the, so when we go to inventory and we go down here and we start to look at the market. Last year, this very meeting, we would have talked about 380 houses you competing with. Look at how many we compete with now. This is the thing that's driving this market. So what that means is this: if I'm a seller, Joshua, in order for me to benefit from the hot market, what do you think we need to do together to make sure that the same thing happens to you?
Oh, I mean, we probably would just need to sell quickly and we need to hit at the right price, right?
Yeah. And now the question you've got to be asking is how. So let me explain to you what that looks like. So you see how I put the story together and how I had the numbers. This is how you get the aha from the seller to say, okay, yeah, this makes a lot more sense. So you were doing everything fine, but the story wasn't very clear. Or the other C word I used a lot in my notes with this was it wasn't compelling, because you didn't give me any aha moments. You told me all the information. At one point, I got pretty bored because I saw the stats. You told me what it said on the piece of paper, but we didn't go that deep on a story on how we can compel the seller with the information to get them to make a decision. Okay. Right. And then tying everything together. Okay. So the days on market needs a lot more energy around that. Now, let me see where we're on time. Okay. So I got a few more minutes. The CMAs, we need to do a CMA together. So we broke up in that presentation, but I feel like we need to do a CMA together so that the information we do portray is the best, highest quality information. It was like 80%, I would say. But the biggest thing that we talked about is getting properties that are similar, the most similar. And the thing I'd like to see is a map. I want the seller to see the proximity to where these homes are located, because sometimes they know these streets and sometimes they don't. But I want to include the map. And, well, there's a lot here. I'm going to go through a couple things. I'm going to pause it because there's so much. We need to go through doing a CMA and the CMA presentation, because we need the map, and then bracketing never came up once. This price range was set up perfectly for you to really position this. Okay. And so with bracketing, right? Because you were right on the threshold, that 260, 275, $300, 300,000 price range. It would have set up great for you to explain to them how this works. Another area for you to shine. The active, pending, and sold explanation. Again, I want to do some work there. I'm going to pause this right here. So for our next call, we'll break down the second half of the presentation. Couple key things that I don't want to leave out, so I don't want to remember, or I don't want to forget. When you recommend price, you've got to remove I completely from the talk path. I don't know if you do that in real life or if that was just here in the role play, but you said we could go rewind the tape, but what you're going to see is you're going to say, I forget exactly how you said it, but I believe the market is suggesting. So let's just leave it at the market is suggesting. Okay. Based on the data, Joshua, the market's suggesting the home should sell for between X and X. What are your thoughts? Is that what you see? Right? So you did a good job there, but let's take I out of it. The next thing that needs to be removed is two other words. You don't ever say value proposition to a prospect. Okay. Okay. So they don't understand. They don't know what that means. So saying value proposition to them has no value. So you can replace that with Bob and Sue. I want to show you how I do business that sets up to benefit you most in this relationship. So you replace value proposition with Bob and Sue. I like to show you how I do business that benefits you through doing business with me. And that will tee you up to get into the value proposition. Okay, cool. And then the other thing we got to remove is price reduction. And we got to put in adjust the price. Reduction suggests that we're taking something away. We haven't, the seller doesn't lose anything when they reduce a price, because that price was never to be had anyways, right? And it's our job to explain that. If a seller has to adjust their price, the price they were at before was never going to be had. So they're not losing anything. They're gaining by adjusting the price to the right price, right? Yeah. There's some objections I threw at you that were good. The frameworks were good, but we're going to really enhance those over the next couple of weeks. Okay. You have any questions about any of that feedback?
No, I don't think so. I think I know where I need to improve now. I'm definitely going to spend a lot more time with the role playing and watching your role play video with the live, and then also your CMA video a lot.
Yeah. The thing with your role play partner, what I'd like to see, that's why I asked you at the beginning, are you doing the whole thing? I'd like for you to spend time on just the CMA presentation right now. Okay. And starting off with, explaining the market stats, then jumping into the days on market, then your CMA presentation, and gaining agreement around price. Let's just work on that piece. Okay. Couple other quick things you should note. Actually, I got through all of the feedback, so that's good. Couple other things. When it comes to the marketing plan, I want you to position that this way. Okay. So Joshua, I sent you a copy of my resume, which included my marketing plan of action. Now, I do a ton to do two things: to position the property in a way that allows you to be the obvious choice, and two, does everything I can to find the buyer, because you want an agent that's proactively out there marketing your property, finding the buyer versus waiting back for just other agents to sell the home. Would you agree?
I would agree. Yeah.
Okay. Also, it sets up to benefit both you and I financially, doesn't it? Because at this time, you've already went through the flexible compensation. So this plan allows, and it sets up for me to do just that. I would like to be the one who finds the buyer, and so would you. Why is that?
Because, I mean, I save money and then
And
make a little bit more.
I get a raise.
Yeah.
And this is what, so with the arms out, elevated speech, they always smile, they're laughing. We're at a presentation and I get a raise. And they're like, oh, that sets up great. So this is this is one of the big win-wins. So my marketing plan sets us up for that. When you reviewed it, did you have any questions? This gets you out of answering any questions. Tell me why. The way I just did it.
When you reviewed it, did you have if they didn't review it, then they say I didn't review it.
No, they didn't review it, and they'll never tell you they didn't review it. Their ego will not allow them to show any weakness to you right now. So when you reviewed it, so you heard how I framed the whole thing up, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And then when you reviewed it, did you have any questions? They're going to say no almost every single time. You've positioned the value of the marketing plan, right? So they're not concerned about that. They most likely haven't reviewed it. And they're not going to tell you that because they don't want to seem weak in front of you. So that's how you don't get caught up in marketing. Like, oh, this agent said he's going to put it in this magazine. Joshua, are you going to put it in this magazine? You got to get out of that whole thing. So we send it ahead of time. We position it that way. You with me on that?
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then you can spend more time. You don't need to go through that whole listing process. I want you to go through your process. What happens when they say yes? Literally, okay? This starts with you tentatively scheduling the photo shoot. So tell me, there are two signs up until this point that tells you whether or not you have the listing before you've asked for the listing. Two, based on everything we just talked about right now, what are they? What's number one?
So one is agree on price.
Yep.
And then the next one is if we can set up like a photographer.
You got it. You got it. Cool. So imagine a world we've gained agreement around price. And now when we get to, hey, so assuming you and I think it makes sense to do business, here's what's going to happen next. Okay. The most important thing is our photo shoot when getting the property ready. Because as you know, Joshua, people are making a decision whether or not to look at our house. How?
Online, looking at Zillow pictures or something.
And you love Zillow just like everyone else does. Let's be honest. And you're seeing homes that look gorgeous, and you see homes with photos that you can't believe the seller let their agent put up there. Am I right?
Yeah, you're right.
So we have to make sure that we put our best foot forward. We do that through a professional photo shoot. This is the time, Joshua, I need your house to be like magazine ready. Okay. Now you don't need to keep it this way for showings, but for that hour-and-a-half photo shoot, I need this place to be impeccable. Can you do that for me?
Yeah, I can do that for you.
All right. So when I leave here today, I'll call my photographer to get some times tentatively booked. Let's just look at the schedule right now. And so we have our timeline of events. How long do you think you need between now and getting the property photo ready?
Could you give me like 2 days?
Yeah. And so great. I'm going to tentatively get the photo shoot on the schedule for Saturday afternoon. There's like between 3 and 5, you think work for that?
3 and 5 is perfect.
Now in my head, I'm like, dude, I am like right there, right?
Yeah.
This is going great. And I'm writing down. So I always have a folder with me. So I've got like list price on there, and I've got photo shoot. I've got sign installation, all these different, like a checklist. And they see me write it into the folder.
Okay.
I'm assuming the sale, right? That's the time you need to spend time, right? So that's where you need to spend more time. So then I write down the schedule, or I write down the time. Then I say, okay, great. Once we have photos back, what's going to happen, Joshua, goes all about having processes in your business. I'm going to email you the listing with the photos, with the marketing write-up, with all the details about the property. This is when, Mr. Seller, I need you to review it thoroughly, because I want to make sure that you and I have gone through every detail before we hit the market. So if there's things that I missed, let me know. You won't hurt my feelings, I promise. Can you do that for us?
Yeah, I can do that for you.
I bet you can. And so once you give me back the okay, or we make any necessary changes to the listing, we will then be ready to hit the market. Okay. And so at that same time, I'll order the sign from my sign installation company. Now they're crazy right now. Okay. But they'll typically, from the time I order it, take about 3 days to install. Okay. And now we'll make sure at that time, we install the lockbox. Now, do you have an extra key with you?
I do. Yeah.
All right, perfect. So these are the types of things that all come before we even ask for the sale.
Okay. Okay. So after you get through all those, then you'd say, you have any questions before we get started with paperwork?
That's right. Okay. Hey, based on everything we talked about today, Joshua, I feel 100% confident that I can get your property sold at a premium. Do you have any questions for me before we go ahead and get started?
Okay.
Right.
Cool. Yeah.
And that's how we end the presentation to getting over and pulling paperwork out of our folder and starting with that seller disclosure statement.
Okay.
Good stuff.
Yeah, good stuff. I have a lot to work on. So definitely.
Yeah. Well, you have a good foundation. You know that you know how to run the play. Now we're gonna make it even better. So, okay. You know exactly what we need to be doing lead generation. Now we're talking about the presentation. You're going to work on the CMA presentation. And so the next time we talk, we'll kind of get caught up on all those things.
Okay, cool.
Listen, dude, it's June 1. Let's make it a great week. And let me know if you need anything in the meantime.
Okay. I will actually be leaving at the end of this month for a trip
yes.
until July 5th. So
yeah.
Okay.
Where are you guys going?
I am going down to North Carolina.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Going down for the 4th?
No. So I'm actually going to go meet my girlfriend's parents.
Oh, look at you. There you go.
And reverse the sell the shit out of them. So.
There you go. That's exciting. That's exciting. Good for you. Well, let's make it a great month. Let's get to work. And then, like I said, let me know if you need anything in the meantime.
All right. Will do. Thanks, Brandon.
All right. Talk soon.